Hey y'all, welcome back to the Free Black Women's Library YouTube channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Thank you for liking this video and thank you for subscribing to my channel. Welcome back to the Free Black Women's Library YouTube. My name is Ola. I am an artist, library worker, media junkie, and on this channel I talk about books, movies, and TV shows that I find interesting, fascinating, or just simply worth talking about. And one of the things I'm doing on this channel is I am rewatching A Different World and doing Rambly reactions to each episode. I'm determined to make it through all of the seasons, but right now I am only on season 1, which is probably going to be my least favorite one. Now, I watched The Different World when it did come out in 1987, and I'm so curious to see if the different plots and themes and ideas explored in the show still feel relevant, appropriate, if they still hold up in 2025. Um, or will they seem dated? Now, season 1 is already giving dated, but I have a feeling that things are going to change when Debbie Allen comes in and takes over. Either way, let's talk about season 1, episode 5. Now, the name of this episode is The War of the Words, and it starts out in the dorm room. Jaleesa, Maggie, and Denise, they're roommates. They're our core three in this story. And then we hear Dwayne on the radio. So it's early morning. They're all asleep in bed. And we hear Dwayne is on campus radio hosting the morning show. And he just, the sound of his voice wakes Jaleesa up out of her sleep. And he says, "This song goes out to the love of my life, the gorgeous woman who lives in Gilbert Hall, room 20Y, top bunk." Of course, he's talking about Denise. And if you've watched my other videos, you already know that I think Dwayne is a creep. And once again, this is creepy behavior, Dwayne. Why are you doxing her? So of course Denise wakes up and she said, "Damn, why is he telling everybody where I sleep?" And Jaleesa makes a joke because Denise is a bit of a mess with the big hair, and lucky that he doesn't see you what you look like when you first wake up from sleep, right? So, so they're waking up and it turns out that it's Friday. Yay, it's Friday. Denise is so happy. I have the whole afternoon off. And for those of you who are in college or experience college, you know that sometimes you're able to craft your schedule so that you have certain days off of the week. And Friday is definitely the perfect day to have an afternoon off, right? Because then you can do what you want. But Maggie says, no, actually, you don't have Friday off because we have debate. We have our debate club meeting. And Denise says, "Oh man, why'd you make me sign up for that?" And it's like, "Oh, because I thought it would help you improve, blah, blah, blah." No, actually, Denise just needed the credits. And this is an ongoing theme throughout season 1 so far, 5 episodes in. There's always going to be a comment from somebody, if not Denise herself, about how poor she's doing in school. And that's one of the things I worry about is if we were going to do A Different World 2025, could we have characters who are quirky, artistic, differently minded, not necessarily academic scholars? Like, can we have a college show that doesn't have everybody being this like really studious scholar? Can we have a character like Denise who's kind of playful and a bit out there and is not really doing well in school? I think so. But as I've said before, I don't like this trope. As in me being an artist myself, who can also think a little bit out the box as Denise does, and also did not do well in school. Maybe I'm taking her character a little bit too personally as far as her portrayal, but I think it is no longer a trope of the artist being somebody who's irresponsible and out there, but that's not the point. That's not the point. So let's get into this episode. So it turns out that Maggie's on the debate team and Denise is on the debate team thanks to Maggie, which is fine. Even though she's not into it, she needs the credits, right? Period. But also, it turns out that Maggie has a boyfriend named Mike that she's referred to constantly, but no one's ever seen him. And he's supposed to come and visit Maggie at school, but has not shown up. So they're like, are you making this up? Does this Mike really exist? And they're kind of teasing her. Did this picture come with the frame? So they head downstairs. It's, people are getting dressed, ready to go. And then we're in the foyer area of Gilbert Hall, that place where the couch is and they get the mail. And we see Stevie. So lovely. I love this character. Stevie's the dorm leader, resident, mother, so forth and so on. And she's giving Whitley her mail. Whitley's got all these catalogs. And Whitley's saying, oh, I'm picking out gifts. And Stevie says, well, you don't have to get me anything. And Whitley says, no problem. Whitley continues to be my favorite character of season 1, even though she's a bit of a pain in the butt. She's got the best lines, the best deliveries, and is just consistently perfect. And then we see Dwayne come into the dorm, a place where he's not supposed to be. And he says, oh, you heard me on the radio this morning. And Whitley says, yeah, I turned it off. So they have a little snippy back and forth. And then Denise and Maggie come downstairs, and Denise says, oh, I heard you on the radio, Dwayne. You were very good. And he says, really? 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 So, of course, Dwayne's crush on Whitley, Dwayne's crush on Denise is referenced once again in this moment. She's not bothered by the fact that he doxed her. I thought that was a little bit strange, that she was so nice to him after he told the entire campus where she sleeps. But hey, it is what it is. Inconsistency is part of her charm, I guess. So Whitley makes this comment about the flames of Maggie and Mike's love are going out because he's not coming to see her. Then they head to debate club. And so then we get to see Keenen Ivory Wayans with his fine self. Turns out Keenen Ivory Wayans is a debate teacher. So we get to see this new character. And we also get to meet Millie, who is Whitley's friend. So finally, Whitley has a friend. This is the first time we've seen anyone on Whitley's side, which is great, even though Whitley's a bit of a mousy character. It's giving Peppermint Patty and her person with the glasses. It's giving very much that. And then we have Kim Wayans, who we've seen in other episodes before this one. Her name is Allison. She's also in the debate team. And then there's Denise and there's Maggie. So Keenen Ivory Wayans is telling them how to be better at debating. And watching this scene made me wish that I had been part of a debate club or a debate team, because I honestly feel like people who did debate in high school or college end up being very good at public speaking. And I think if I had developed that skill early, I would be a better speaker. That's just the theory that I have. I feel like debate teaches you how to speak well in front of others and how to make your point in a succinct manner. So that's one of my, I don't want to say regrets, but one of the things I wish I'd done in high school or in college was be part of some type of debate team. That was a tangent. So Whitley introduces this motion about women not being able to have a career and a family. And that's her motion. And Maggie decides that she's going to speak against that motion, because she's like, no, because Maggie is like our little resident feminist in this group. So Maggie says, I'm going to debate her, and Denise is going to be my second. And Denise is just sitting there like, oh God, what did I get myself into? Because she don't want to participate in nothing. She just wants to sit around and probably eat an edible, and sit under a tree, listen to music on her headphones, and think about some boy. That's what Denise wants to do. And I'm not mad at it, especially when you're in your 20s. Come on. Either way. So now we're at the pit, and we see Dwayne come into the pit talking to Allison, which is Kim Wayans, and this other lovely character who we don't get her name, but she's got a beautiful blown out fro. And he's talking to them about the fact that his radio show, the one he was hosting, the person he was hosting for is now back because he was filling in for someone. He was really excited about doing this radio show. So in comes the person that he was hosting for, whose name is Marvin, being played by Damon Wayans. So we got 3 Wayans in one episode. We got Keenan, Damon, and Kim. Damon is also looking fine as can be, right? And he comes in and he says, "Oh, I'm feeling much better now, so you don't have to cover my show anymore." And Dwayne says, "Oh, can I do just one more show, please?" And he says, "No." But you can come up with your own show. You just need to come up with, just pitch an idea, come up with your own show. So we move on, and then we see Jaleesa and Denise and Maggie getting all the research together for the debate, finding all these stats about how women who were married, who didn't devote time to their career, once the marriage was over, they were left broke, or women were able to balance, just like all these random facts, right, that Maggie can use for her debate against Whitley. Jaleesa's amped. She's pumped. She wants to see Whitley go down. You know, Whitley's like her nemesis. She can't stand her. So then Dwayne comes over and he's all bummed and he's like, and they go, "Oh, what's the matter? Why aren't you talking? Why aren't you being weird and creepy and annoying?" And he says, "Well, I don't have a show anymore, my radio show, the person I was subbing for, etc. But if I could figure out some type of campus event to cover, maybe they'll let me do a show again." And then Jaleesa says, "Well, we can't help you with that problem now because we're getting Maggie ready for this big debate against Whitley. Everybody wants to see Maggie beat Whitley's butt." No, Jaleesa, you want to see her beat Maggie's butt, not everybody, just you. And Dwayne says, "Oh, that's what I'll do. How about this? That's debatable with Dwayne Wayne." He came up with a new title, and I can't lie, Dwayne, that title is cute. It's cute. I'm not mad at it. So we're moving on, and then in comes this white guy, and Maggie jumps up, and it turns out that this is the infamous Mike, that's her boyfriend. She's in this long distance relationship with Mike. He pops up on the Hillman campus to see her. So then they're talking, and it's later on in the night. They're at the pit, they're outside the pit, and Mike is like, "Oh, you're so beautiful, you're so amazing." And she's like, "Thank you." Puppy love. It's really cute. And so Mike tells her, now, originally, Maggie mentioned that Mike is pre-law, right? He's going to be a great lawyer someday. So turns out that Mike quit law school and got a job working for the Pork Board and is moving to DC. And he wants Maggie to move with him. Maggie says, "I just transferred to this school. They have a great journalism program." She's freaking out. Maggie's high strung. And he says, "Oh, I'm going about this all wrong. What I really mean is, will you marry me?" So he proposes. And then we have this live audience that goes, "Ooh." Is there someone behind the camera telling the live audience to make those ooh sounds, or do people just do that? Because it did not feel like a ooh moment to me. Maybe because I'm not a marriage person, but whatever. So Maggie doesn't answer. She goes for a run. She comes back to the dorm. She tells the girls Mike proposed, and they're like, "What?" Jaleesa is anti-marriage. Denise wants her to say yes. Denise is leaning toward yes. "Oh, you could go to another school. So we're seeing their different personalities, as well as seeing the pros and cons of the argument of Maggie being married. We're seeing that Denise is the one who's the hopeless romantic, boy crazy. Marry him. You're in love. Love will save the day. Jaleesa is the pragmatic, been there, done that. Don't do it, girl. Don't change your whole life for some man, right? That's Jaleesa. So Maggie goes for a run. She doesn't know what she wants to do just yet. She doesn't have an answer just yet. Then this is the day of the debate. Whitley makes her argument, and it's so dramatic and so ridiculous about men and women in career, and a woman who is air traffic controller, and her son is crying, and the plane crashes because she has to deal with her son. Maggie comes up and she makes her opposing argument, making valid points, offering data and facts, not based on anecdotal emotions. And then Whitley comes back up to make her counterpoint. But then when it's time for Maggie to make her counterpoint, she can't do it because she's crashing out a little bit. Mike is in the audience watching, and she starts crashing out and bringing her own stuff into it. So Denise, who's her alternate, goes up there and she offers a heartfelt, anecdotal speech about her parents and how her father took care of them while her mother was in law school. Her mother took care of them while her dad was in medical school, and they both have thriving, wonderful careers, and they're both happy. Sidebar, the Huxtable family is a very specific scenario, Denise. So I don't know why you're trying to act like that's everybody's life. But either way, Denise wins the debate. And then we see they're back in the dorm room. We're back where we started, which I kind of like that they did that. They started in the dorm room and they ended in the dorm room. I kind of like that. So we're in the dorm room with Jaleesa and Denise, and they're looking at the clock. It's almost curfew, and Maggie's not back yet. So they're talking, and Jaleesa says, Denise, I'm really proud of you. You did such a good job in that debate. You got up there, you made some strong points, and you beat Whitley. And Denise is like, yeah, I did that. Go me, right? And in rushes Maggie at 11:57. I think curfew's midnight, right? And she says, me and Mike, we're fine. We worked it out. Everything's going to be great. He's going to go do his thing. I'm going to stay here and do mine. And we'll get married eventually, but just not right now. We're too young to get married. Now's not the time. I'm doing me, right? And when we have kids, thanks to you, we're going to name the first one Denise. And Jaleesa says, well, what if it's a boy? And she says, well, then we'll name him Jaleesa. I didn't get that joke, and I don't think I liked it. But yeah, so that is episode 1, season 5 of A Different World, which first aired in 1987. And did I say the name of the episode was War of the Words? I think I did. Anyway, feel free to leave me a comment. Let me know if you're watching A Different World, if you watched it when it came out, are you watching it now? And who's your favorite character? I'm not going to share mine just yet because we're just getting started. But I'll see you on the next one. Bye.